A lot of realtors spend way too much money on camera equipment that they will not use or certainly do not need. Today, I want to address that question. What camera, photo, video equipment do you actually need as a real estate agent? And yeah, I will address the audio. How's it going, y'all? My name is Lynch, and this channel is all about doing real estate differently. Before I got into real estate, I was super heavy into photography and filmmaking. So I bought a lot of very stupid gear, very pointless, money-wasting equipment. And all I want out of this video is to empower you to start making videos and hopefully save you a little bit of money. Actually, save you a lot of money. This is a GoPro Hero 12. I only recently upgraded to this within the last 6 months or so. This is a GoPro Hero 9. It's broken right now. The reality is this has been the backbone to $75 million in transaction volume in less than 4 years. This is about as easy as it gets, and that's why I use it. It's a GoPro selfie stick. This is the GoPro Hero 9 with an action mod, I think, which is an extra mic. Really easy to find info on that. And this lens right here, the big thing on the front, that's called the max lens. Fundamentally for me, all that does is keep the horizon level. So again, 500 bucks, $75 million in transactions. And actually, this thing has broken like this before. They make, repair. I have one. I think this is like a $5 repair kit from Amazon, so let's just fix it right now. Okay, GoPro Hero 9 has been fixed. Again, it's like a $5 fix. GoPros are so easy to use. They're so plug and play. The only thing that might be easier, in my opinion, is a phone. So if you just want, what have I used? A bunch. It's a GoPro Hero 9 with this like action mod with a max lens and a GoPro selfie stick. And I walk around and feel like a weirdo all the time. And one thing I want to point out is that lighting back there, that's bad lighting. Most people don't know really the difference between good lighting and bad lighting. Maybe they know horrendous lighting and good lighting. Maybe they know the difference there. But mediocre lighting and pretty good lighting, that line gets a little bit blurred. This lighting, maybe a little bit better. It's just window lighting. It's kind of a dreary day. But one thing that makes it look, I think, worse, give me a second, is the environment it had me in. If you only have a window to light you, that's okay. You can get nice, flattering lighting just coming through a window. Make sure the background doesn't have a huge color temperature difference. If you don't know what that is, give that a Google. Color temperature, white balance. Probably watch like a 3-minute video and have a decent understanding of what that means. So bad lighting back there, decent, natural, free lighting right here. And this is good lighting. Oftentimes, the only thing between you and a pretty dang good looking shot is a halfway decent understanding of lighting. I don't want to pretend like gear and equipment is not important. It definitely can improve quality, but I think of it as sort of a right that you earn by making more content, by creating more videos and more photos and more posts. Our goal for this year, 2024, is to post 1,000 pieces of video content in the course of the year. 1,000, 400 of which, the goal is to be long form. So we have all these other channels, we have this channel. Our goal is 104 long form videos on this channel, and then we have a bunch of other channels where it's 52, one a week, and so 1,000 pieces of content. And again, it's a right that you earn to buy more and more gear. And more than that, just don't waste money on things that you don't need. So I'll talk through the gear that we have. And again, I want you to think of it like tiered purchases or milestones that you hit. And I truly believe this. You should start with an iPhone. iPhone, I personally like a little bit more than other brands. I think there are certain things that they can do now that are pretty insane. Most of you have this already. If you don't have an iPhone, whatever, don't buy an iPhone. Get good with whatever camera on your phone that you have. But the one thing you can buy at the start is some sort of tripod to go with your iPhone. Then release 50 videos with just this as the setup. 50 videos. They can be short form, they can be a minute or 2 minutes long, but 50 videos with just that. And then you can buy a microphone. This is like a Rode mini shotgun mic. It's probably like $40, super easy to find on Amazon or whatever. This is called the Dead Cat, by the way. It cuts down on wind. This setup connected to your phone will improve your audio. Audio is super important in the watchability of something. And again, so cheap, so easy, so accessible. Then I want you to upgrade your lighting setup. So for now, you've been shooting with natural light through a window or through windows where they are available, maybe in rooms that just have some nice natural light, and you're learning how natural light works. Then I want you to buy a cheap, maybe $100 to $150 or so lighting setup, probably off Amazon, maybe like an LED panel, maybe an LED ring light, but you can find a bunch of these, and there's a bunch of videos talking about them online. I shot a lot of videos with an LED ring light. One pro tip is don't put the ring light straight at you. It'll make the rings in your eyes, or if you have glasses, it'll reflect off your eyes. It's super distracting. Put it off to the side, or even better, bounce it off something white. Then, next up is buy an iPhone gimbal. These are honestly like $100 and maybe $50, something like that, and they're pretty crazy. This is DJI makes them, but you can buy a bunch of really cheap ones. You'll see tourists with these things all the time. Super, super valuable, and honestly, a game changer. It will take your footage from okay, kind of shaky, to buttery smooth, and a huge upgrade from just the iPhone. And then once you bought the iPhone gimbal, I think the next best use of your money is to upgrade your lighting setup from the cheaper Amazon LED to something a little more professional, a little bit better. I think a Godox VL150 is a really good one to look into, not that expensive, and get yourself a really nice softbox. This is called an octobox. These are more generally known as modifiers. A huge one. You want to get as big of one as you can. In fact, the ones I'm using in this room are even bigger than that still. And it's a real nice, soft light. Again, very flattering. And now this is a weird one and fairly specific. If you find yourself doing a lot of talking head style videos, basically like this, where you're just sitting at a desk talking to a camera, if you struggle with memorization or you struggle with riffing is something I do a lot of in these videos. But if you're not very good at that, or you aren't super confident in that, I think this could be something worth looking into. This is an Elgato prompter, and you can put a camera right behind here. It shoots through here, reflects whatever screen you want to play. This is literally just like a video from the channel on there. But a lot of time it can be text. It could be the notes that I'm using to make this video. Project it on there. You can look right at the camera. You're not looking slightly off to look at your notes or anything like that. This is probably $300 to $400. An Elgato prompter, pretty cool. And only then, I'm serious, I mean this, only then can you buy a drone of any sort. This is a DJI Mini 4 Pro. It's so light. These things are crazy. Probably $1,200, $1,300 for like the nice Fly More package or whatever. This thing is crazy for how tiny it is, and the quality is nuts. You probably don't even need to start with this nice of a drone. We used a DJI Mini 2 for a very long time on our other channels, and yeah, most people are just like, wow, you have drone footage? It's like, yeah, we have drone footage. And then once you've gotten real slick with all this, with the lighting and all this, when you've gotten real good with it, I mean this, really good, to where you're like, okay, now the equipment is why this doesn't look good. I made this look as good as possible, but you need to know that the bit rate isn't good enough, right? So then you can invest in something like this. This is a mirrorless Sony camera. There are steps between this and this. This is one of the nicest Sony mirrorless cameras on the market. This is a Sony a7S III. This is like the creme de la creme. If you're making good money off of everything you've done with this, and you're like, let's step it up a big way, something like this will definitely do the trick. These are crazy cameras. I think this lens is probably one of the best ones you could start with, but again, it's super expensive. I'm talking $3,500 for the body, $3,000 for the lens, okay? $150. You're walking around with $6,000. Are you $6,000 good at video yet? Don't buy something like this if you're not. And once you've bought this, you are like proper into the filmmaking world, right? This is a professional camera, and it, again, the quality is beautiful, but only if you're good with this stuff already. And so now once you're used to this on a tripod with your lighting setup, and you're good with things like ISO and shutter speed and aperture, which again might all be Greek to you right now. Once you feel really confident with that and you're getting what you want out of those images, then it's probably worth your time to buy something like this. This is a gimbal, a DJI RS3. This is basically a much more expensive version of what this is. You put this on here, makes the footage very buttery, very smooth. One thing to note, you cannot use this as a selfie stick. It's like literally going to be impossible. So by the time you upgrade to this and this, if you want footage of yourself walking around with real smooth buttery footage, you're going to need another person. I have Paul helps me with pretty much everything I do, but I literally had to arrive at a point where I needed a full-time employee because I was shooting so much video, and then it was like, oh cool, Paul could be using this stuff. And then one thing that we kind of noticed with this setup is we wanted the audio to be a little bit crispier. This might show up a little bit earlier in the process, but I think this is a massive upgrade. And basically these things are Rode, same mic company as this, wireless Go 2. They are remote transmitters. So if you ever see me in a video where I have like a little lapel mic, it's connected to this, real slick. This connects to this. Not the most expensive investment you could make, but a pretty huge upgrade. Very, very cool upgrade to make to this kit. In theory, you can use these with the iPhone setup, but yeah, most of the time, I think, get everything just and then sort of add that to the mix. And now at this point, you are capable of making very, very high-end video. But you could buy this, and if you haven't figured out how to make everything else look good, this will not look good. This will look like you have an expensive camera and don't know what you're doing with it. In fact, if you don't know things like ISO, shutter speed, and aperture, this will look worse. This will be a hit. If you can't make a photo look nice on an iPhone, you will not be able to make footage look really, really good with this. The learning curve gets pretty steep as you start getting into this world. If you're at this point and you're making beautiful video with this, with really nice sound, you might want to upgrade that drone a little bit with something with a little bit richer bit depth. Again, that might go over some people's heads, but bit depth is very important to the overall like richness of a video. And probably the biggest like hit that an iPhone or a GoPro or something like some kind of action cam takes is in its bit depth. It might have 4K resolution, but the richness in the depth of the image is usually the biggest hit. Then if you have all this and you're making really sharp looking footage, then you might find you need another camera, right? You might need an additional camera, and you also might find a need for additional lenses. Don't buy additional lenses if you don't literally need them, or if there's not a very specific use case for them. I'm guilty of doing such things, but these are all basically lenses that I love for different reasons. This is really good for portraits. This is what I call a walking around lens. This is actually probably one of the first nice lenses that I had ever gotten, and now I have since gotten nicer lenses than that. But this was a huge upgrade for me at one time. And once you have two cameras, that does sort of open the door to more multi-cam productions, like events or podcasts or, I don't know, interviews or anything like that. So if you do a podcast, you're going to need podcast microphones. This is actually way cheaper than it looks. It's off Amazon. They did come with cables, but the cables sucked, so you had to buy better cables. But this is what we use for our podcast, and it's very passable. It's not even just passable, it sounds proper good. But you're not just going to need one of these, you're going to need a bunch of these. And then if you have a podcast and you decide you want to edit it on the fly, right? You want to switch back and forth between different cameras, or you want to live stream it, you might need something like this. This is an A10 Mini Pro ISO. This thing, I'll be honest, mostly a headache. Mostly didn't connect to computers. It did its job for a while, but it really caused a lot of headaches. And it wasn't 4K. There's a bunch of limitations to this thing, even though it costs about $1,000. And then we ended up buying this. This is an Atmos Ninja 5, which is a screen that basically sends out of this camera into this and can record even higher quality basically than what this camera is capable of recording on its own. Also does this, also has basically unlimited record time, and this was a solution that we bought because this was so annoying. And again, this was the solution. This also had a few nice touches, like it makes the quality of these cameras even better. It also can shoot in a RAW format, which RAW is wild and more flexible, but also way harder to deal with and requires things like this, which are memory cards. This is a terabyte memory card. It costs like $400 or something like that. And more than anything, what I think I'm trying to get at is the further this way you go, the more complicated it gets, the more frustrating it gets, the more like into that world you have to be, otherwise you're just banging your head against the wall. And probably the most annoying thing is that from this to this, very few people are even going to notice the difference. And it's basically out of passion, not necessity, that I'm sort of upgrading and trying to get to this higher and higher level. You don't ever need this stuff. Again, like I said at the beginning, a GoPro. A GoPro has been the foundation. And I don't just mean like it was a foundation that I used for a year. I still use it. And I still make my money off of that GoPro. This stuff doesn't even apply to my main channel, which has generated me the huge majority of income. A lot of this stuff only gets used for this channel or for brand new channels that are like literally in their infancy. But for me and for us, it's these little improvements and the goal of being just better and better every day, every video could just be a little bit better. We can tweak it a little bit better, figure this stuff out, get it a little bit spicier, a little bit more buttery. Those tiny improvements that get us excited about what we'll be capable of next. And at the very beginning of this, I said that I felt like I had a point to prove with this video. And I still stand by that, which is that this whole video has been shot on an iPhone. And not even the newest iPhone. I think it's one generation ago. It's the phone that I use from day to day, and it's extremely capable. And it's not just good. It's small form factor and it's relative affordability compared to this. It allows you to do things with it that you couldn't really do with this stuff, or you would just be putting a lot of money at risk. I do believe that gear matters, but it's a law of diminishing returns. By the time you're at this, almost nobody notices. And I didn't just want to make a video saying that. So we made this video entirely on the iPhone 14 or whatever the heck it is. And I hope that this video shows you that it's not the equipment that you have that's limiting your ability to make videos. It's the understanding of this equipment. First comes knowledge, then come skills or talent, and then come resources. See you in the next one.